Good afternoon. Please take your seats. Can you hear me? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. First of all, very welcome the Minister of Livelihood, Livestock and Fisheries of South Sudan, Dr. Onyoti Adigo, and his Ambassador of South Sudan and your delegation. Very pleased to have you here. Welcome all guests in this audience, distinguished delegates, and ladies and gentlemen, as well as the people in the virtual room. I welcome you on behalf of the organizers of this event. That's a group of 6 agencies: United Nations Development Programme, United Nations Environmental Programme, FAO, Netherlands Food Partnership, Foresight for Food Systems Transformation Programme, and GAIN, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. My name is Nicole Metz. I represent Netherlands Food Partnership, and we are a facilitator of multi-stakeholder processes. On the one hand, the facilitator of dialogues among civil society, private sector, public sector, academia, but also a facilitator of impact coalitions, partnerships that work towards action on the ground for joint impact in the context of food systems transformation. And that's exactly what we want to discuss today, joint impact, and we talk about how you do that, multi-stakeholder collaboration to improve food systems transformation. The objective of this side event will be to share good practices, country experiences, and to think about how to effectively operationalize cross-sectoral and multi-stakeholder collaboration. We will exchange about the practical use of a number of concepts and approaches that have been developed and practiced in different countries to do so. And I think we're in the stage of the conference that we need that, because it's about what will happen in practice with the agenda of the food systems transformation. And we'll also discuss how national governments and partners can strengthen inclusive governance mechanisms, because these mechanisms work for improved governance. So the program of today will be a short introduction to the topic, a panel with 5 guests who will be introduced a bit later. And thereafter there will be some time, we hope, for discussions and questions from you. So if you have questions, think about those and note them in your notebook. You can get answers to it later. So we hope that this session will give you insights and inspiration for your own work, your work in countries, delegations, national conveners, those who have a role in the country level actions as a private sector company, as a civil society player, as an academic player, but also for those in the so-called ecosystem of support, the international community who helps countries deliver in the food systems pathways. We hope that everybody will be inspired on how you can actually do it, multi-stakeholder collaboration. So I wish you a great session. And to start, I give the floor to Corina Hawks. She is the Director of Food Systems and the Food Safety Division of FAO.
Thank you very much, Nicole. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks very much to the 6 organisations who've come together to organise this event. I think it's a good example of organisations in different spaces coming together in collaboration and coordination. So a good example of what we're talking about. I had the privilege yesterday of moderating plenary 1 of this stocktake event. Some of you may have been there, and it struck me in the 3 hours that we had, with numerous interventions from the floor and the panelists that we had, which were 11 in total, just how often the issue of bringing people together came up as an absolutely essential factor in enabling change. So whereas the issues around the technical aspects of change, like new seeds or setting up access to markets, nutrition interventions, climate smart approaches, whatever they were that came up around these technical solutions, it always came back to, and we needed to bring people together in new ways. It was very striking to me, and that theme has been echoed in many other sessions of this event as well. But of course, The challenge is it sounds like it's something you can just do. You bring people together. You need to have coordination. Yeah, you need to have all of the stakeholders in the room in order to be able to deliver change. But once you actually start to do it, it's quite a different story. Given issues of transparency and representation, power imbalances, whether people can be included or not, difficult personalities, conflicts, it's really not an easy thing to do. I remember, it must have been around just a bit less than 20 years ago now, when I was working in the CGIAR system, and I was a bit, I was relatively early in my career, and I was tasked with pulling together agriculture and health into a multi-stakeholder platform as part of the work we were doing in the CGIAR system. And that was a great learning, an early learning experience for me, that simply the fact that the two sides, as it were, spoke a different language. And if you used the wrong words, you could upset people really quite fast. And you really have to learn someone else's language. But there was also a power imbalance there, because the people who are a bit more powerful said, why should I learn anyone else's language? You need to learn mine. So all of these things I remember from a long time ago were an early introduction for me, for one, how important it is, and one, how challenging it is. So yes, it is challenging, because it is about doing things differently. It's about things not taking the business as usual approach. So it is challenging, and that's why it's so important to engage with this as an issue in and of itself. But it's also absolutely essential. It's absolutely important that we do this, because otherwise we can't move forward with the really transformative changes that we need. We just move forward with the easier, simple solutions that we can do on our own. And that's not going to lead to the transformation of food systems that we need. So I'm looking forward to hearing from the speakers around these challenging issues of transparency, capacity, representation, inclusiveness, power imbalance, as a way of having an open conversation about what these challenges are, but also ways to find our way through, and the experiences that we already have that can inspire us and help us all identify ways of pulling together these platforms. I'm pleased that we'll be able to learn from the experiences of South Sudan, from Vietnam, the recently published UNEP FAO UNDP guide, Rethinking Our Food Systems, a guide to multi-stakeholder collaboration, as well as, of course, the fantastic experience of the global network of the Netherlands Food Partnership. So a great opportunity to learn today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corina. Very insightful kickstart of the debate. We'll move to a panel now, and the chair of the panel, the facilitator, will be Andrew Buvarnik of UNDP Food and Agricultural Commodity Systems, the head of that division. Thanks, Andrew, for moderating the panel, and the floor is yours. Take the same microphone. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming. Congratulations for finding the room. I'm surprised you have so many people. But luckily we have a good show for you today. I think we have the experience from 5 different countries about their national food system pathways work, and particularly the role, strengths, challenges that multi-stakeholder collaboration has played in the development and either already started or upcoming implementation of these food system pathways. So it's been mentioned, it's a hot topic at the moment. I hear it all the time here at the event, bringing everyone to the table, being inclusive, as we say, and for everyone working in this space, we know how challenging it really is. And so I'm very excited to introduce our speakers, and we will be hearing directly in terms of field experience, what's actually happened on the ground with this multi-stakeholder collaboration. So with no further ado, let me introduce from left to right, or from your end, right to left. We have Dr. Mai, the Deputy Director of the National Institute of Nutrition and National Convener for Vietnam. Welcome. We have Dr. Agostino Attilo, the Food and Nutrition Security Policy Expert for the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security from South Sudan. Welcome. We are still missing our Swiss representative, I believe. But if he shows up, we will be having Mr. Alwyn Kopse, the Head of International Affairs and Food Systems and the National Convener for Switzerland. And if he misses his spot, he'll be ably represented by his colleague Patrick here. But we will be hearing from Switzerland regardless. And two more speakers. So from Nigeria, we have Ms. Joyce Akpata, the Head of Policy and Advocacy for GAIN. Welcome. And Ms. Wageshi Gitata Kuriga. Yes, she's been helping me practice her name. The Foster Country Facilitator for Foresight for Food, and recounting her experiences from National Food System Pathways in Kenya. So we've got five excellent country experiences coming. And with no further ado, I certainly want to give a speech. We will start. So, Dr. Mai, I'm trying to look at you and talk at the same time into the mic. Yeah, I mean, we know that Vietnam has had a food systems pathway and the National Action Plan. It'd be great if you could share 5 minutes only. I'm going to try to be tough. Your experiences on how the government fostered the multi-stakeholder collaboration for the formulation of the National Action Plan, challenges that you had. Let's hear some real challenges. Let's not just hear the good stuff. Challenges, and also, you know, what value it all brought to the system. Okay, over to you. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. So yeah, for the Vietnam, so now we have just adopted the National Action Plan on the food system sustainable forward to the 2030 year. So do you know, in the Vietnam government and Vietnam Party, we have to pay attention for the how to get the motivation and to push the National Action Plan to take action for the whole ministry. So I think in the do you know, in the Vietnam, in the President Minister in the two Roy and the two commitment for the in the food system summit 2021. So and then so now is to get in the take action. So we have to including there's many multi-stakeholder, including in the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of the Environment, and Ministry of the Church Industry, including for the to cooperate with to develop for this food system action plan in the Vietnam. So of course, so now I think we have a cooperation to set up the multi-stakeholder, and we have to set up the platform including in the partnership. Of course, so now I think we know just before in the food system summit, we have to set up a lot of the working group on the nutrition, on the food safety, and on the agriculture and other. So now we have to cooperate with together to do for how to do in the to move forward for the food system action plan now. So for the I think in the opportunity for to do to take action for food system plan now, I think in the very opportunity for us, do you know, is a very do you know, in the Vietnam party and the Vietnam government to pay attention to commitment. So the second, I think in the we have Vietnam now is a very quickly change for the socio-economic transition. So that's why I think to get very quickly for the to new in the technology and the internet and technology. So I have to change to quickly for the to action to do the to do work. So is another point, I think is a very good opportunity in Vietnam. We have for the governance structure in the very good in the system from the central level and to the local level. So that's why now I think is for each the ministry can choose the direct and to have to introduce for the from the central level to the local level. So that's why we have to commitment from the government local and to the government to central level. So I think in the another for the challenging now we have a facing, of course I think another the same another the country we have a facing a lot of the challenge. Of course for another outside the challenge I think also is Vietnam we facing in the climate change problem and the urbanization very quickly. So, but I think in the for the multi-stakeholder to now we have to facing in the how to the mechanism for the multi-stakeholder for the cooperation in the through the central level to the local level. So another thing I think is the limitation of the capacity building for the how to move and how to transformation in the food system in the from the central level to local level. Of course, I think in the we are facing in the limitation of the capacity building in the Vietnam. So another challenging we have facing, I think, in the resource. Of course, now we have to move with the mobilize for the funding and the mobilize the source from the government, another partnership can to cooperate. We to put for the many action from the to do and the food system action plan now. So I think in the another challenging we facing of course I think in the another we had to facing and something the same in the way to get in the I think is facing in the some problem in the city urbanization and the to food in the how to put in the food system and the to the luggage in the low list and practice from the consumer. So I think in the now we have to move into to change. Yeah, I think is that some is a point you can do so in the like in Vietnam. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. May, and you're perfect on your timing. And you really set the scene and set the stage for the sharing from the countries. So again, thank you very much. Dr. Agostino, you're next, and you'll share experiences from South Sudan on the same issues of multi-stakeholder collaboration for the national food system pathways, really focusing on them and their challenges. But I understand as well you have a 2-minute video you'd like to show first, so maybe we can just see if the tech works.
Food systems takes place at multiple levels and scales, but transformation of local food systems will only succeed if communities, civil society organizations, small producers, farmers, and indigenous groups, with their local knowledge and lived-in experiences, can shape how food is governed. South Sudan's Food Systems Resilience Dialogues and Pathway Development Process provides an approach to strengthen local governance of food systems for improved food systems, resilience, and outcomes. The country's state-level dialogues envisage critical pathways, which together form a roadmap to transform local food systems to become more resilient, better serve the needs of all stakeholders, in particular smallholder farmers, agri-pastoralists, and herders. South Sudan's food systems transformation agenda is instrumental to build the resilience of the country's food systems and deliver upon its promise to improve food and nutrition outcomes for all its people.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to be here. I chose to start with this short video clip to set the stage for my presentation. And I wanted to begin by saying our multi-stakeholder consultation has gone a long way to reach the hard-to-reach people and often forgotten communities. It has been challenging, but if we really serious about transforming our food system, we have to be there. So consulting the grassroots level has been very, very key and instrumental in helping us to develop our pathways. Our journey with the food system transformation starts right away in 2021 in the run up to the United Nations Summit on Food System. We had several multi-stakeholder consultation at national and subnational level. And I wanted to also take this opportunity to thank our partners, especially FAO, the World Food Programme, and the European Union, and the University of Wageningen. They have been very, very helpful in supporting our process to develop the pathways. During the consultation, we were able to identify a multiple key stakeholders. We know that food system is not only about agricultural sector, but it goes further than that. And given the nature of the food system itself, its complexity and interconnectedness, then we have to be also mindful about all the people involved in the food transformation. So based on that, we have consulted across the country. We had all the private sector, the government line ministries, the academia, the farmer groups, even the producers themselves. So we have talked at length across the country, and based on those processes, we were able to develop our national pathways. And to keep the momentum of the food system transformation, we have actually gone very far together with the University of Juba and the University of Wageningen in the Netherlands to develop pathways at the subnational level. So these pathways has informed the review of our food and nutritional policies, because we have discovered that we need to strengthen our food security and improve our actions so that we'll be able to address the key issues. South Sudan is one of the countries which is depending on imports. Imports is very key in South Sudan because we have a food deficit. So based on that, we have actually reviewed all the policies. It's not only the food and nutritional security policy, but we have also gone as far as addressing the issues of governance. You know, we need strong governance to be able to transform our food system. So the South Sudan Food Security Council is the highest governance body in the country, but it was dysfunctional, and we have thought that after we have already discovered our pathways, we have to review that one. And also we have created an idea to strengthen the implementation arm of the council by actually proposing the National Food Reserve Agency. Yesterday we had discussions with the Zambian delegation, and we wanted actually to learn from their experiences and their model. So we are moving towards transforming our food system through consultation. We had a lot of partnership also with the key stakeholders. The other thing is actually the University of Wageningen and collaboration with the University of Juba have actually worked very closely to make sure that we have fixed the seed system in the country and developed the seed policy. So we have a seed hub, which we have also proposed, and we wanted to go further than that, and as well as the school-grown food feeding system, which is very key. So this, just to give you a very quick picture of how we have actually mobilized all the key stakeholders in multi-sector consultation to make the transformation easier. I think I wanted to rest my case here. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Agostino. I think you made your case very, very well, very strongly. Lots of questions, I'm sure, arising, and it was a very interesting video too, so thank you very much. Let me turn to the next speaker. Alwyn, I see you arrived just in time, Swiss Precision. I introduced you when you weren't here, but as you're now here, I'll just introduce you again. So Alwyn is the head of international affairs and food systems and the national convener for Switzerland. And I know, Alwyn, you've been personally very involved in your national food system pathways. So could you please share with us how you see multi-stakeholder collaboration supporting the implementation of the food systems pathway in Switzerland? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Swiss, but still late. So my apologies for coming a little bit late. I think indeed multi-stakeholder collaboration is key to implement our national pathway. I also want to say multi-stakeholder collaboration is nothing new. We have in Switzerland committees, which we call extra parliamentary committees that advise the government. And the oldest one is actually the National Committee for the FAO. It's about 70-something years old. And I just recently, in preparing for this side event, I went through the Act of Establishment, and you look at the composition there. There were farmers, private sector, research was there, civil society organizations were already there in the 40s. So this was something not necessarily new, but I think the food systems transformation provide opportunity for innovative approaches. And the first is the way we established our national pathway. It was a time when discussions in Switzerland, or there was kind of a disagreement in Switzerland what direction agriculture policy should be taking a few years back. So 2020, Parliament blocked a discussion on a reform of the agricultural law. So the call from the UN to conduct dialogues was very welcome, was an opportunity to actually bring all these stakeholders together and not talk about agriculture, but food systems. And so this helped already create a common understanding, to start creating a common understanding around food systems transformation. What does this mean? So I think that was a very helpful. That led into the national pathway development. We also, agriculture policy in Switzerland doesn't foresee any role for cities. They're just non-actors. But if you look in reality, cities, they have their own food strategies. They have to see how they feed the schools and so on and so forth. And so they do things, and the dialogue actually gave us an opportunity to reach out to cities beyond what our official mandate is. We talk to the cantons, to the states, but certainly not to towns. So that was another opportunity, and happy to say that this will continue, this dialogue between the federal level and the city level, which is something new, which is in the food area, which is excellent. And then now in the area of implementing the national pathway, last year we established a citizens assembly to tell us, so consumers, the population, to tell us how they would see the food systems develop, what would we need to change. And here already the way we organized that was kind of a multi-stakeholder collaboration, because it was not the federal administration organizing this citizen assembly. It was civil society organizations that did that. We helped them to do it. There was a science involved in providing advice. There was the private sector involved as well to articulate their views. So I think that was already a new kind of multi-stakeholder collaboration beyond just consulting. When we come up with a new ordinance or a new law, we consult. It's going beyond there, much more into where is the compromise, where is the consensus, what should we be doing? So I think there is on one hand side, there's a rich tradition of multi-stakeholder collaboration, but there are these new and innovative approaches which this food systems transformation theme now actually made it possible to go forward. And so that's, I think, it's going to be central that we talk together, that we work together through different layers of government, but also with different actors going forward. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much, Alvin. Yeah, Citizens Assembly on Food Systems certainly sounds interesting. I'm sure you'll be getting some questions about that, at least from the panelists, if not from the floor as well. But before we go to that, we still have two more country experiences to hear from. The next is from Nigeria, and Joyce, please share with us, your experiences, your insights, lessons on how multi-stakeholder collaboration around food systems transformation and pathways has worked in Nigeria, and what you'd like to share on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andrew, and it's good to be here. So food systems are complicated, and transforming food systems and addressing the various challenges, like we all know, would require collaborative effort, and it would require coordination from stakeholders across different sectors and across different levels as well. For a country like Nigeria, with our size, that makes it even more complicated, and I think it's on this premise that for us as a country, we've been able to galvanize support and action towards implementing our food systems transformation. And this began just before the UNFSS in preparation for the dialogues, and indeed afterwards, after the dialogues, we had, I think, a total of about 40 dialogues, which were cross-cutting and multi-sectoral in nature. And to synthesize the various recommendations and come up with a national pathway, indeed, we had a team that was constituted with not only government representatives, but academia as well, civil society, youth leaders, women groups as well, to put together and synthesize and harmonize these recommendations to develop what we now have as our national pathways to food systems transformation. And post that, the government of Nigeria, through the Office of the National Convener, have been driving cross-sectoral and multi-sectoral engagement. We do have a technical working group composed of representation from the various government agencies that have responsibilities around the food systems, with a mandate to support the Office of the National Convener in delivering and on food systems transformation initiatives. What we have realized is that the fact that there's involvement of non-governmental stakeholders in planning, in decision-making, in the implementation process itself, that has improved effectiveness, and that has also ensured that we've had a steady growth in our journey towards transforming the food systems in Nigeria. Indeed, collective action cannot be overemphasized, and that has been very, very instrumental to the successes we've recorded thus far in ensuring that this is cascaded down to subnational level. Not long after the summit and the harmonization of our pathways, there was an engagement with commissioners and permanent secretaries representing the key ministries across 36 states of the Federation and the federal capital. That was aimed towards cascading down information about the food systems transformation agenda, about the activities that is expected to be undertaken at subnational level that would help in transforming the food systems at those levels, because indeed it's not what can be done only by the federal government at the central level, but implementation activities are domiciled at subnational level because closer to the grassroots, and that's where those activities typically would be undertaken. So that session helped to provide that understanding at subnational level, and also to get the commitment of stakeholders at subnational level towards food systems transformation. After that, we also did have sensitization workshops organized by government, supported by various partners, again, same group of partners, not just government, development partners, UN agencies, academia, civil society, all coming together to speak and create awareness around the various initiatives and activities and actions that we were currently undertaking towards transforming our food systems, and indeed ensuring that the various priorities, 78 of them actually, which are contained in our national pathways, are understood and activities and actions commence around driving implementation of those activities. It also then became very clear that we needed to have an action plan that would guide and aid the implementation of the pathways. So we began working with the technical working group and another multi-stakeholder platform constituted by the Office of the National Convener, tagged the Food Systems Transformation Task Team, working together with the technical working group of government, started another series of consultations that would evolve into us developing an implementation strategy. That again involved engagement across various sectors, across various levels. We had engagement with stakeholders at national level, at subnational level. We had 2 key zonal consultations that had representations from all the states of the Federation as well to elicit their input and harvest inputs that would feed into the implementation strategy itself. And that has been very useful because it has ensured inclusiveness. It ensures that the priority actions were effectively prioritized and activities were mapped out according to key stakeholders that had responsibilities and would be held accountable, to ensure success in those activities. And of course, we also did have to establish parameters for measurement as well, because that is key across not just the various levels of government, but also across the various sectors as well. So I think for us, we realized that indeed pulling in diverse stakeholders has contributed in developing a very robust implementation strategy, which we believe that once is approved would serve as a guide, towards achieving the priority areas that we have highlighted in the national pathways. It doesn't sound like it's been a seamless process. It's not been a seamless process. I think Karina had mentioned some of the challenges at the beginning, challenges around divergent interest, power imbalances and all that. We've had to manage those, we've had to deal with those to ensure that there's inclusion and to also ensure that we achieve a collective goal, because it's not one person's responsibility and it's not one person's task, but it's all us working together towards transforming our food system. And I think progressive efforts have been made by government. Progressive efforts and support has also been made by international organizations and multilateral and bilateral agencies. Efforts have been made by academia, civil society as well. And I believe a major part of the solution to transforming our food systems lies in shifting our approach. Technical assistance that just involves perhaps analysis or project interventions by partners would not do the work. We must shift and focus to changing our systems through a collaborative approach. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. That was excellent, really interesting learning about everything you've been up to in Nigeria and really reinforcing so many of the messages we've been hearing so far of the importance and the intensity of attention needed for multi-stakeholder collaboration in these processes. So let's just turn to our last speaker on the panel, because I'm excited to turn this to the audience for questions and actually have some collaboration amongst us. We're going to walk the talk. So we're going to hear from Kenya and Wageningen, please. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and tools that you've been using on multi-stakeholder collaboration, particularly in the Kenya case. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you. You did get my name right, so well done. So I'm actually going to speak mainly about the work that we're doing with Foresight. I'm not going to necessarily speak for the country, because right now we do have members of the Ministry of Agriculture who are in the audience, and they would be best served to really talk about that. But what I would like to talk about is a little bit about the place of the citizen in all of this multi-stakeholder collaboration and also discussion. And when you look at foresight, the way that we are viewing it is that it's a tool for a multi-stakeholder approach. It's a way out of getting out of the analysis and moving into action. And that's how we're viewing this. And it's trying to see how you can locate all these different stakeholders in a way that can move you forward into really thinking about the way different futures can be imagined. But you're also looking at different trends. You're also looking at what the data is telling you, but then you're looking at those results jointly to be able to say, where does it make sense for me as this particular stakeholder? Am I sitting here as government? Am I sitting here as subnational? In Kenya, we call ourselves counties. We, similarly to Switzerland and Nigeria and South Sudan, we have a devolved system of government. And our constitution actually calls for that there is a multi-stakeholder pronged approach in every single thing that we do, and food systems is no different. And part of the preparation in the run-up to the UNFSS was the creation of the Kenya Agriculture Sector Framework. And that was actually designed to have both the strategic and operational collaboration at national and also at subnational level. But then going back to how we're using foresight as a tool, this really does embody, I feel, and I'll borrow from Joyce, this Igbo proverb that says, if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you want to go far, you go together. And foresight is a tool that allows you to do that, because it compels you to, again, place yourself within that data. And one of the things that we use is called rich picture. And if you'll allow me to explain that a little bit to you, you're basically asked to envision and then go ahead and draw what it is that you see as strengths in a particular system. And we are applying this within food systems. What you see as the opportunities, what you see as the weaknesses, and then you visualize what the future could look like. And then you take a step further, and then you use data to back up all these things that you have put up, right? Where do you think these trends are coming from? What is that backed by? Is it data that is locally available? Is it data that you've collected internationally? But then you also look at the macro and and see how that influences the more granular picture. But then you go further and you work together to see, is this making sense for me? As an individual citizen, is this making sense for me? Is this an area where I would like my legislators to know a little bit more about? Is it an area where we need to put more emphasis if we're going to make sure that school feeding programs are properly funded, or that they're getting that nutritional value that we were talking about? Corinna talked about power dynamics, right, in your opening session. And doing a rich picture actually helps to shift a bit of that, because you're literally drawing these things out. And our experience in Kenya when we had this workshop was excellent, because it stopped people from talking over each other and actually looking at what somebody else has put on paper, literally, and then being able to build upon the other points that somebody has seen, the perspectives that somebody else is bringing to the table. And then together, you're then able to, again, visualize a different type of scenario, and also understand where different decisions can lead. And that's really part of what the foresight planning and the scenario analysis is all about. So we're looking forward to continuing this work. The Foresight for Food program is being funded by the Dutch government through IFAD, and we're in 5 countries. I'm the country facilitator for Kenya. And it really is truly about multi-stakeholder collaboration. So it's really good to see all these different agencies here. I see Joyce is here with GAIN, and there are partners in one of our countries where this work is taking place in Bangladesh. Yeah.
Well, a big thank you to all of our speakers. I think that was a really wonderful tour de force, a global tour de force. And I mean, it really just reinforces that no matter where we are, whatever country we are in, we have to bring the stakeholders together if we're going to work on food systems, planning, and action. One thing particularly I found interesting in nearly everyone's sharings was this need and the value to link the national to the local. You know, Alvin, you talked about bringing in cities, and we heard in Vietnam again the national government going down to the local government. In Sudan, South Sudan, we saw the video, and Agostino, you also talked about, you know, reaching those who are far away on the ground. In Nigeria, you know, getting down to the local and the grassroots. And so I just think it's, you know, it's particularly interesting, the different dimensions here. You know, we talk about multi-sectoral, but there's also the scale issues and the governance issues and how we bring all these different dimensions into collaboration. It's certainly not easy. So again, thank you, speakers, for both working on these issues and sharing the lessons. And now we have around 10 minutes for questions. So let's get some discussion going here. What I would ask is you put your hand up. We have a microphone. Maybe please introduce yourself and then ask a very short directed question. So hopefully we can get as many questions in as possible. So please, 2 or 3.
Thank you very much. My name is Hildegard Lingner. I'm the Executive Secretary of GIFA, Global Forum on Agricultural Research and Innovation. We are a founding member of Foresight for Food as well. Many of you are members of GIFA. We have 900 members from 13 constituencies. So we are really doing a multi-stakeholder partnerships, and we invite all of you to join. Our brand are collective actions, so exactly what Joyce was asking for. And we are working on a couple of them. But what I would like to add to the discussion we are having here, and I'm very grateful for the experience you showcased what you are doing in the countries. But let's try to make sure we do that not only at countries, but also at regional and global levels. And also not only all 2 years when we come together for stock taking on the UN Food System Summit, but on a permanent basis. We have just this year entrusted to build a global NARS consortium. Since many of you are not only national conveners of national pathways, but also NARS representatives or working with or in NARS, please join us so that we can be as powerful as possible to make sure that all these different constituencies can impact on agricultural research, can bring their innovations into the global work of the CGIAR, of FAO, of IFAD, of all the many actors in this field. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let's take maybe 2 more questions, and then we'll have a couple minutes for the panel to respond. I see 2 hands up, or 3 hands up, so let's take these 3, and then we'll...
Sorry, I didn't see you. Hi, everyone. Hope you can hear me okay. My name is Pilar. I represent the Boston Consulting Group. This panel has been fantastic. I've been trying to find rooms when we're talking about multi-stakeholder partnerships. Yeah, it's been great to learn from you. And so one question I really had was, you know, we've been talking about like the importance of having a multi-sectoral approach, but also, you know, including all the different voices on the ground, but also different organizations. And I'm wondering if you can maybe elaborate a bit more on like how to really involve also the private sector into this multi-stakeholder approach. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's take the two more hands that are up. I think over there, yeah, those 2, and then we'll give the panel a chance.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Natalie Demel. I work for Welthungerhilfe, a German NGO, and we actually had a side event on inclusive governance just yesterday, so very similar topic. And that's really inspiring to hear from further country experiences on how to move forward on the inclusivity agenda with the pathways, and specifically inspired by Augustino's experience for the subnational pathway development, because one of our let's say findings yesterday was that we work a lot also on the subnational level with roundtables and multi-actor partnerships to implement food systems transformation policies and to shape them. And what is sometimes missing is the municipalities, the local governments. And one of my questions would be, what are your experiences when it comes down to local governments' involvement in transforming food systems and their capacities? And my second question would be to the panel in general. So to be really inclusive, what are the criteria according to which you put together your multi-stakeholder platforms? Thanks.
Okay, I think there was a question at the back.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I work in, again, Bangladesh, and you just, our respected panelists just mentioned about Bangladesh. So there is no specific question, just to share one experience that we, with the Foster team regarding the foresight work, we had a workshop back in April, and now we are moving forward with government. And in this total foresight work we have planned and we are implementing in line with our basic national policies, mostly the 8th five-year plan, soon to be 9th, and the perspective plan 2041. Thank you.
Please, okay, well, one final question.
Thank you very much for sharing the chance. So based on our appearance, multi-stakeholder are really important in food system. But based on also
do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry.
I know you, but not everyone does.
Final question, so I try to not.
Okay.
My name is Tuyen from the Alliance by West and NCR, and I work closely with the Vietnam delegation in the country for food system transformation. So two main things I recognize. That's the first thing for multi-stakeholder. We need to do stepwise approach. So need to have first have the common understanding. And there is a big gap at the global scale. We have very good food system framework. However, to be reckoned in the concept with multi-stakeholders, it's really challenging. It needs a lot of efforts when support from not only at national, global scale, how to engage with the multi-stakeholder process to match the food system framework to go up to the local context for unpacking the framework into the system and the structure of the food system governance in the country. That's the first thing. The second thing about scientific based on data relevance, it needs to set up at the beginning very well with the multi-stakeholders to make sure we don't go two different ways to downscale the food system. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, it seems we're really running out of time. So I don't know, we had questions about global regional collaboration, engaging private sector, municipalities, local government, criteria for inclusion. Clearly we could have a lot longer here, but would any panel member like to step up and give a couple very quick, sharp responses? Agostino, I see you stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the engagement of the local government and the food system transformation. I think we have done that. We have tried to localize the food system pathways by engaging the local government. And we have succeeded in one of our 10 states, Eastern Equatorial State. We brought on board ministers and deputy governor to sit with us for the whole day, planning for what action should we take at the level of the state. So local government is very key in the food system transformation. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So maybe one final, is everyone bursting to talk here? Say, Alvin, you have your hand up. Vagesi, you want to say something?
Yeah.
All right, let's have a quick remark from everyone. Alvin, you start, and we'll 30 seconds each, and we'll wrap it up.
Thank you very much. I just fully agree. A multi-stakeholder collaboration, a lot of effort. It's not an easy thing. It's like a herding cats sometimes. Just with regard to global level, a cooperation. And not just every second year here. I think that's crucial. I dream of bringing national conveners to the climate COP and confront the climate COP people with what's going on in the food systems. I think that would be something a wonderful. And then with regard to the composition of composition criteria, I think it depends what you want to do. Is it more a committee that then you look what sectors are represented, you try to find the balance. With regard to the Citizens Assembly, it was really, we tried to disaggregate the group in accordance with the Swiss population, so gender, professional background, political affiliation, everything. We tried to come up with a group that reflects that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this last answer. And I think here we close the panel. Thanks a lot to Andrew for facilitating it. And of course, to all panelists for these great contributions. I think it was very enriching. I give the floor to James Lomax for some final words in this session, representing UNEP. And you know we are very squeezed for time, so if you can keep it short, but we look forward to some final reflections. Thanks.
Thanks so much. And, you know, very rich panel. I'd like to thank you all for being here on behalf of UNEP and the other partners. So thank you very much. I've got three things that I'd like to say, actually. We talk about transformation, but nobody talks about how. So we all know why we need to transform. We all kind of have an idea where we have to transform to, you know, environmentally friendly, nutrition-rich diets, agriculture sector, food systems. That's there, but there's nothing that goes in between, the how. So this is why governance has been a kind of an emerging topic for UNEP anyway, since about 2012. How do we start to really understand the ins and the outs of getting people around the table? So three things really, it's that, so the how. This is starting to address the how, which is really needed. We use the word transformation very liberally. Are you kidding me? The transformation of a food system, which is massively capitalized, which has that has, you know, 30, 40 years of policy legacy attached to it. We have its infrastructure that's been built around this particular model. Transformation has to happen in many ways, and this is one way of doing it for understanding what a country really needs and getting all the voices in at the rooms. So the second one is inclusivity and diversity, and I think that came through very, very clearly by the examples that we had from all of the countries. And then the third one really is that we have the tools, right? So we do have the tools, whether it's foresight, whether it's the new guidance that the UNDP, FAO, UNEP have put forward. And it's not just about getting everybody from, if you like, those that usually have the power and those that are disenfranchised do not have the power. It's also, I think, at the government level too. We need the ministries of environment involved. We need the ministries of health involved. Almost always, ministries of health feel like they're sort of picking up the bill for all the rest of us. And environment is, well, dare I say, it's often put in a sort of a smaller building in another part of town, quite a long way away from the ministries of agriculture. So it's really quite difficult. Yeah, I mean, we're all laughing, but you know, welcome to my life, right? So ministries of environment need to be involved. They need to be empowered. So I think in that respect, then getting that equal playing field as well at the interministerial level, from health to agriculture to environment, is the very least, and then all the rest, the finance and the planning, etc. So those are my three final points. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, James Lomax. Very helpful for us to get these 3 points out of the session. This is the end of this session, and as I said, thanks very kindly for the panelists as well as those who chaired and made remarks. And thanks very much for you all, distinguished guests, the minister, all other guests. Thanks a lot for this interesting conversation, and we hope that you stay in the room for the next session, and we have a good end of the conference these days.
For those who are interested, we have some few books there on the